Hello everyone, welcome to another episode of Music of the Week. I don't really have much to build up for this one. Um, no, can't really think of anything to really promote for now, but I will be promoting stuff for the end. But that's for the end. As for now, we've got 5 albums. That's 5 albums to get through. Pick number 3, my lord. And it's going to be a very positive episode as well. I will spoil that for you now, and we're just going to get into it. So, 5 albums to do. I say we do it. We begin in Orlando, Florida for Alter Bridge and their 7th album, Pawns and Kings. So I'm quite familiar with Alter Bridge. I have been for about a decade since I got more back into wrestling. Obviously, I knew Alter Bridge did Edge's theme song. Alter Bridge have been around for a long time as well, and I never really fully listened to an album of theirs until 2019 with... It was Something the Sky. I will add in text to edit what that is. To say what it is. But as for this album, giving it an A-, I thought it was just quintessential Alter Bridge stuff. I love how it is a very proggy feeling album, but it never really makes you feel stupid, despite it being so proggy. Really love the instrumental layering and riffs, like the solos as well are fantastic. Mark Tremonti is an amazing lead guitarist, and he does not get enough credit for being an amazing lead guitarist. Miles Kennedy as well, charismatic as always, fantastic singer. Everyone else, the other two, they're alright, aren't they? They're fine. No, they're really, really good stuff from them. The production's phenomenal too, and I like the surprisingly uplifting lyrical tone to things. There is a good focus on personal relationships, and not so much on the sort of political stuff that's going on right now, but it's just really nicely handled. And it's a much brighter concept than I was picturing a prog rock band, especially Alter Bridge, doing. They're not known for being a dark band, but looking into the lyrics for this one, it was quite light and mostly breezy in terms of its tone, but not childish in any way. Very mature, very well handled tone. Structure-wise as well, also great stuff, pretty hefty prog stuff. Very heavy as well, despite the more positive vibe of the lyrics, but it doesn't really offset it much, and it actually goes well with it, adds a lot to it as well. So yeah, this is just a really good album by a band who have been really good for a long-ass time, so... Excuse my hair. So, if you want to check it out, I highly recommend it. Alter Bridge are a good band, and more people should really listen to them outside of Metalingus, which is still an absolute fucking banger of a wrestler theme. Next, we go to Flemington, New Jersey for Lorna Shore and their 4th album, Pain Remains. So, people might remember I wasn't overly keen on their previous album, which I think was titled Immortal. But obviously a lot of changes have happened since then, mostly new bassist Michael Yeager, and more importantly, new vocalist Will Ramos. And spoiler, all of the albums in this episode get an A-rated grade. This is the only A+ grade though. So yeah, I didn't really know if any deathcore album this year would be able to top Shadow of Intense album from way earlier in the year, and that's still a top tier deathcore, symphonic deathcore album, don't get me wrong, but goddamn, the storytelling on Pain Remains feels a bit more focused in a way. I love how the lyrics sort of speak about that. There is a concept to it which is based on something that Will Ramos was watching for a manga. Reading for a manga. He doesn't watch anime as much, from what I read on the interview, but I can't remember exactly what the concept is, but I think it's someone stuck in a dream, in a lucid dream, and trying to escape the demons in their head. And it's a really cool concept, very unique one, very well told. The instrumental work is absolutely phenomenally crushing. It never fucking sucks with its blackened deathcore sort of vibe. Blackened deathcore is a super cool sounding genre of music, I will admit. It's not actually what it's called, I just came up with that, but you have to admit it sounds fucking badass. Anyway, phenomenal work instrumentally as well as lyrically. Performance-wise, I am fully behind Will Ramos as a vocalist. He was phenomenal last year during their And I Return to Nothing CP. Even though I didn't listen to that, I listened to the singles they used to promote it, and I thought, this guy is phenomenal. And he's absolutely phenomenal here as well. He puts in arguably one of my favourite vocal performances of this entire year. He is just so good at what he does. Everyone else is fantastic too. Not to knock them. Michael Yeager is a really good bassist as well, and you don't really get to say that compliments about a lot of deathcore bands, but yeah, Michael fits in quite well too. I really also enjoyed the production aspect of things as well. It was on Century Media, and usually their production can be a bit too clean and polished, but now I like how everything feels a lot more dense and layered, and again, very, very tightly focused in a technical way, so I love that they did a lot of really good stuff with that. I don't remember who produced it. It should come up with the name. Josh Schroeder And I know he's good because I've seen his work before. So yeah, he did a really good job of really tying this album together. Structure-wise as well, it's the longest album on this list. It's over an hour and like, what, 6 minutes or something? No, an hour and 1 minute. But it's still, you know, fairly long, but it doesn't waste any time, and it fits so much, especially the closing 3-song trilogy, the Self-Titled Pain Remains trilogy. Phenomenal work, just all in all. Yeah, I mean, there was a reason this album was so highly anticipated, and again, I'm one of those suckers that bought into the hype, but it's hype worth buying into. Go and fucking listen to this thing. Lorna Shore are incredible, and I am very, very excited to see what else Will Ramos is capable of. Next we go to San Antonio, Texas for Nothing More on their 5th album? Let me make double sure. And their 6th album. Spirits. So this is a band I'm quite familiar with. In fact, they're one of the 2 bands I've done a full backtracking episode of for this particular episode. And I love Nothing More. I'm completely biased when it comes to them, and I'm giving this album an A. It's been 5 years since their last one, and the recording process and a lot of the things in the time between since their 2017 album Stories We Tell Ourselves was, you know, it was very, very difficult, obviously, with the pandemic and the new writing approach that it took to this album, but it is still phenomenal, quintessential, nothing, it's what Nothing More are great at, you know? They're, like, charismatic energy from everyone. Johnny Hawkins, I just want to marry him. I just really want to marry Johnny Hawkins. I mean, he's beautiful, if I'm being honest. Yeah, really loved... I was attracted by thinking about him. Really loved how not only his performance, everyone else was really great too, especially their lead guitarist, whose name I cannot remember off the top of my head. Mark Vallelunga. That's probably why I can't remember it, because it's very difficult to remember a complicated name like Mark. So, really good stuff from him, as well as everyone else being phenomenal too. Love the production again. For a band on Better Noise, these are like one of the 2 good bands on Better Noise. The other one is Bad Wolves. But yeah, really love how they produced it, and the band produced it themselves this time, which is not a luxury I think they've had before, or if they have, they haven't had it too often. But they do great work with this one. I just want to make sure really quickly that they did produce it. They did. They did produce their last one as well. Okay. Well, they've produced their own stuff before. So, you know, it's good if the band does it themselves, but this time they didn't have any other outside help. It was just them, which I kind of love, you know, especially because it's on Better Noise, and usually Better Noise will try and cram in a second producer. But no, not for this one. Nothing more related. We're left to their own devices, and I'm good with that. Structure-wise as well, it can... I was going to say it can drag a little bit. It really doesn't drag a little bit. It's got a really good flow and really good build-up and pacing set-off. I really, really like how that's done too. I've already gone over the performances. The lyrics do cover things like some love and romance stuff and some really good political stuff. Obviously, a lot of it is very much inspired by Johnny Hawkins' own personal life, and again, that reads through here with his own like energetic and charismatic delivery. And the riffs as well, the instrumental work is great. I like Mark's solos. I'm so glad he gets to do more guitar solos, because he's great, as are the bassist, whose name is Daniel Oliver, yes. And I think their drummer is Ben Anderson. So, great work from them as well. Great work from everyone. This album's great. Again, just go and listen to it. It's really good shit. Next we go to Philadelphia, Pennsylvania for Varials and their 3rd album, I almost said 4th, their 3rd album, Scars for You to Remember. So, this is another band I'm fairly familiar with. I caught their last album In Darkness? It was something Darkness. I will have to check. I am so bad at my job today. It is called In Darkness. I was correct. I just had to make sure. So, yeah. So this is a much simpler album from the band, because their previous albums experimented with like more of a beatdown style and also shoegaze as well. Even though I've only listened to, besides this one, I've only listened to In Darkness. But I'm giving this album an A- still. The thing is, right, while it is a bit simpler in terms of its more post-hardcore-y sort of vibe, that's not a bad thing, but I do want to highlight the lyrics, because they tell the story of the topic of abuse and someone going through an abusive cycle and trying to fight back, and it's a very powerful subject, and when it's handled right, it's done really well, and Varials actually handled the subject really, really well. Obviously, they've got fantastic performances in their own right, too. I believe this one actually comes with a lot of major changes, so I'm going to read those off while I remember. So, Yeah, okay. So Shane Lyons returned on rhythm guitar duties. Lead guitarist Mitchell Rogers became the lead vocalist for this one, and James Hohenwater, I hope I'm saying that right, switched to lead guitar duty. So there was a fair couple of changes, and I'm so used to former vocalist Travis Tabaron, because he was the one I was most familiar with when they dropped In Darkness, because he was their vocalist at the time, obviously. But yeah, Mitchell Rogers is phenomenal on the stick as well. I think he actually puts in a really great performance, and you could make the argument that that's why this album is more of a metalcore sort of vibe to it, but it's very heavy metalcore. It doesn't utilize its clean vocals too much, or barely at all, really. And again, the lyrical themes are really good. I like the breakdowns in the instrumental work too. It's very, very heavy, very thrashy style riffs in some segments too, which I do like. It does lend a lot to the structure as well, but I do have to pick a couple of holes at the structure because a couple of the songs are titled like sort of with chapters, but they're like instrumental tracks that sort of build the story. And there's 12 songs on the album. There's like 3 of those small instrumental tracks, so it doesn't really add a lot for me personally, but it doesn't break a lot of the things either. Again, the performance is really good. The production is actually quite solid as well. Again, very focused on the heavier side of things, and I think it's definitely the right route for the band to have taken. So, again, this is just a really great album, and Varials are slowly becoming a very, very interesting band in metalcore, to say the least. And I'm very, I do wonder what they're going to try next, so I'm going to look out for it. But yeah, this is just really good work from them. And finally, we go to Troy, Michigan for the other band I did a backtracking episode for, We Came as Romans, and their 6th album, Dark Bloom. I needn't say how much of an importantly and emotional album this one is, because it's their first one since the passing of former lead vocalist, clean vocalist Carl Pavone, with Dave Stevens taking over on clean vocals, and I can't give this album anything less than an A. The only reason I'm not giving it an A+ is because it's really it's not anything new for We Came as Romans, right? The instrumental work are still quintessential We Came as Romans, but again, that's not something I have a problem with. I like the melody on display as well, and there's some really properly heavy moments that really sell the emotion, thanks to the guitar riffs and drum work alone. The performances again are fantastic. Dave Stevens really sells the pain of him having lost his friend, because they had incredible chemistry, did Dave and Carl, when Carl was still around. So yeah, you can clearly feel that, and with the lyrics as well. Pretty much every song is a tribute to Carl Pavone in some way, and you feel it in your fucking soul. The production's great as well, as you would expect for an album on Fearless. I believe it's on Fearless. I could be wrong. I am wrong. It's on Sharp Tone. That is my apology. But Sharp Tone have always been a really good modern metalcore sort of label, and I really like how they handled the production side of this one. There is really nice electronic elements that fit in quite well naturally with the sound, and it makes it feel a bit more organic, and I think to other people it would sound a bit off-putting because it doesn't fit as well, like maybe to other people, but not to me. I thought it was really well done, and it just speaks volumes of whoever they got to produce it, because they did a good job. And structure-wise, it feels like a couple of songs are, weirdly enough, a little bit too short for me. I think the album should have ended on a much longer song, but it doesn't really lack any of the emotion. It's still very well handled pacing for what it is, and again, when it goes for the heavy moments, it builds up to them so intelligently. So, this is, again, another album I highly recommend you go and find out and listen to. It's not the most emotional metalcore album I've ever heard. That still goes to the Ghost Inside self-titled 5th one. But there is tons of emotion on display here, and man, Kyle sounded like a genuinely good dude, and I hope he's resting well. So that's it, another 5 albums rambled through and covered, and easily the most positive episode of this I think I've ever done. Every album was rated an A, so I can't recommend any of them enough, but if I had to, and I really don't want to do it for this one, but if I had to go from like a bottom to top sort of ranking thing, I would go Alter Bridge, Varials, probably Nothing More, We Came as Romans, and Lawn Short to top it off. Although, again, just go and find all of these albums and listen to them. You will enjoy them for vastly different reasons. I know I did. And again, maybe it's just because I'm very positive when it comes to this stuff, but I really liked a lot of this stuff. It was just a good weekend for music. As for what's next for me, though, this is the self-promotion part that I promised at the start of the video. Tomorrow night, well, I will be continuing and quite possibly finishing the main story of Costume Quest 1. And then on the off chance that I do, then on Saturday I'll definitely be doing the Grogu's of the Rise DLC because I consider that to be like the actual ending to the story of Costume Quest 1. So I just wanted to get that out of the way. And that'll be about it. There is likely going to be a Fight the Night because it's UFC 280 this weekend. I'm very excited for that. It's going to be a hell of a card. So yeah, I'll see you next in video form for the possible Fight the Night for that, depending on what it is. Yeah, and the next immediate thing will be tomorrow night. And then on Tuesday night, I'll be returning with more PBW versus AVW. So I'll see you all very soon for all the things I'm doing. That's about it. As always, thank you for watching. You're awesome. Bye-bye.